My name is Judith, and if there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I was raised in the church. Not just any church, but a strict, deeply Catholic home where missing Mass was practically a sin and church activities were more important than anything else. In my family, faith wasn't just something we practiced, it was a way of life. My parents weren't just Sunday Catholics. No, they were everyday Catholics. Morning Mass, evening rosary, Bible studies, choir rehearsals. If there was a church event, we were there, no excuses. I grew up knowing all the prayers by heart. The Hail Mary, the Our Father, the Apostles' Creed. I could recite them in my sleep. I knew when to kneel, when to stand, when to respond during Massachusetts. It was second nature to me, and honestly, I didn't mind. I loved the church. It felt like home. I became an altar server when I was 10, and by the time I turned 15, I wasn't just any altar server. I was the vice president. That meant I wasn't just serving at Mass. I was leading the younger ones, making sure they were prepared, helping them understand the importance of what we were doing. I took it seriously because, to me, being an altar server wasn't just about carrying the cross or ringing the bells during consecration. It was about being close to God. And I wasn't alone in that. There was Frank. Frank was my closest friend in church. We had been serving together for as long as I could remember, and everyone knew us as a pair. He was the one person I could always count on, the kind of friend who would always tell me, "Judith, keep your eyes on God. He never fails." I believed that. I needed to believe that because in church, I felt safe. It was the one place where nothing bad could happen. Or at least, that's what I thought. Then there was Father Donald. He wasn't officially a priest yet, just a seminarian a few months away from being ordained, but everyone already treated him like one. People loved him. He was the kind of man that made you feel like he was closer to God than the rest of us. It was hard not to admire him. Even I did. Of course I respected him. Of course I trusted him. We all did. And that's what made everything so much worse. I still remember the day he asked me, "Judith, can you help me clean my room?" It sounded so normal. So I smiled and said, "Yes, Father." That was my first mistake. I walked into his room and grabbed a cloth. And that's when I felt it, a hand on my waist. I froze. No, I must be imagining it. But then his finger pressed into my side, slow and deliberate. I felt my breath catch in my throat. "Father," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He let his hand linger for just a second longer before pulling away like nothing had happened. I turned to look at him, my heart pounding. He was smiling. "You're such a good girl, Judith. Always so helpful." I wanted to believe I had imagined it, so I said a nervous laugh and left. But my body was shaking, and I didn't know why. I avoided him after that, but a few weeks later, it happened again. I don't even remember how I ended up alone with him. "Judith," he said softly, standing too close. He caught my wrist. "Do you know how beautiful you are?" I felt something cold crawl up my spine. "Father, I should go," I mumbled. But he didn't let go. Instead, he raised his other hand and touched my face. "You don't have to be afraid," he whispered. I was terrified. And then he leaned in. "No." I yanked my hand away and stumbled back. His eyes darkened for just a second, then the smile returned. "You're still young," he murmured. "But don't worry. Just 3 years from now, you'll be old enough, without fear." I stared at him, my legs feeling like lead. This time, my hands were shaking even harder. This time I knew. I knew. And I never should have gone back. I should have known better. I should have trusted my instincts. But I didn't want to believe that a man of God could be capable of something evil. So I convinced myself that maybe I had been wrong. But deep down I knew. That's why I took my friend with me that day. I didn't want to go alone. When we arrived, everything felt normal at first. Then he saw me. "Judith," Father Donald said, smiling in that same way that made my skin crawl. "You finally came. After he greeted my friend, he said, "You both must be thirsty. Let me get you something to drink." Something about it made my stomach twist. He returned with 2 bottles of soft drinks. One was cold, the other wasn't. He handed me the cold one. "Do you mind if we switch?" "I really prefer the cold one," my friend asked casually. "Of course," I said, handing it to her. I had no idea I had just saved myself. We sat and chatted, but then my friend murmured, "I feel weird." She swayed a little. "I don't know, just tired." And then, right in front of me, she closed her eyes and slumped over. My heart stopped. "Father, something is wrong," I said, turning to him. He was watching us carefully. Too carefully. "She must just be tired." "Don't worry," he said smoothly. "Actually, Judith, can you do me a favor? I need something from the market. Could you go get it for me?" "But my friend." "She'll be fine," he interrupted too quickly. "Just let her rest." Something was wrong. I felt it, but I nodded and left. As I walked, my gut twisted. Why had he asked me to go? Why right now? Why did my friend fall asleep so fast? I stopped walking. Cold fear crawled up my spine. I turned and ran back to the church as fast as my legs could carry me. I burst into the room. My friend was still asleep. Father Donald was sitting calmly, flipping through his Bible. He looked up, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, you're back so soon." I rushed to my friend and shook her. "Wake up." She stirred, groggy. "I feel dizzy." I grabbed her hand. "We need to go." We left quickly, not looking back. My mind raced. Had something happened while I was gone? I was too afraid to ask. A few days later, the president of the altar servers called me aside. "Judith, Father Donald needs his room cleaned. I want you to go immediately." My stomach tightened. I should have said no. But he was coming with me, right? I wouldn't be alone. When we reached the door, he knocked, and we entered. Father Donald was at his desk. The president turned to me. "Go ahead and clean up. I'll be back soon." "Wait, what?" I snapped my head up. "You're leaving." "Yes," he said casually. "I need to check something at the parish office. I won't take long." But he did take long. Because he never came back. The door clicked shut behind him, and suddenly, I was alone with him. With Father Donald. I swallowed hard, gripping the broom so tightly my fingers ached. I forced myself to move, pretending to clean, trying to distract myself. But then I heard movement behind me. "Judith." His voice was soft, but it made my skin prickle. "Judith, look at me." I clenched my jaw. Then I heard it. The door click. I turned around just in time to see him locking it. My heart plummeted. "Father, what are you doing?" My voice was shaking. He didn't answer. He just started walking toward me, slow, steady, like a predator. "Please," I said, my voice cracking. "Don't." He smiled, but there was nothing kind about it. "Why are you acting like this? You're a beautiful girl, Judith. Don't be afraid." My back high-to the wall. "Please, I don't want to do this." His eyes darkened. "It's okay," he whispered. "Just relax." Then, before I could react, he jabbed my wrist. "Let me go." I twisted, GHT, but he was stronger. I opened my mouth to scream, but his hand shot up, covering it. "No one will hear you," he murmured. I struggled, but it didn't matter. He overpowered me. He took what he wanted. Because no matter how loud I screamed in my head, the walls of that room swallowed my voice whole. When it was over, I couldn't move. I lay there, numb, as he stood up, straightening his clothes. Then he knelt in front of me. "Judith, please," he whispered. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." He reached into his pocket, pulling out money. "Take this. Buy pills. No one has to know. Please. I stared at the money, bile rising in my throat. I pushed myself up, my entire body trembling, and staggered toward the door. Somehow, I got it open and stepped outside. The world was the same. But I was not. I was ruined. For days, I walked around in a fog. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. He kept calling, texting, begging. I ignored him and suffered alone. Then my body started to change. The tiredness, the dizziness, the nausea. I told myself it was stress. Until my period didn't come. 1 week turned into 2. Panic set in. The morning I woke up and threw up violently. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I bought the test in secret, my hands shaking. The whole way home, my heart pounded. I told myself it would be negative. But when I locked myself in the bathroom and saw those 2 pink lines staring back at me, I shattered. No. No, 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 no. I took another test. Same result. I took a third. Same. I couldn't breathe. I slid to the floor, my hands on my stomach, my mind screaming. I was pregnant. I was pregnant, and I knew exactly who was responsible. I couldn't even look at the church anymore. I don't know how I made it through the next few days. I moved through life like a ghost, thinking, this is it. My life is over. And then, one evening I broke. Frank found me sitting outside the church, staring at nothing. Judith. What's wrong? His voice was gentle. I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. Tears spilled down my face. Judith, talk to me. What's happening? Frank panicked. It all came pouring out. He hurt me, I choked. And now I. Frank's eyes darkened. Who hurt you? Father Donald, I whispered. He forced me. And now I sucked in a shaky breath. I'm pregnant. Silence. Frank just stared at me. Oh my God. Then, without warning, he jumped to his feet, his face twisted with rage. I swear to God I will kill him. Frank, no. I grabbed his arm. You can't. Why not? He breathed, his entire body trembling. He can't just get away with this. He ruined your life, Judith. I tightened my grip. Frank, please. Slowly, he sat back down. After what felt like forever, he finally whispered, What are you going to do? I don't know, I shuddered. How could I know? I couldn't tell my parents. The church would shame me. The community would call me a liar. I was trapped. Frank clenched his fists. We have to do something. Like what? I whispered. Who will believe me? He didn't have an answer. We both knew the truth. No one would take my side. Frank took a deep breath. His eyes were dark, unreadable. Judith. Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. He hesitated, then in a voice so low I almost didn't hear him, he said, You don't have to keep it. My entire body went cold. What? He held my gaze. You can get rid of it. My heart stopped. Frank. My voice was barely a whisper. Judith, think about it, he said, his voice desperate. If you keep this baby, your life is over. Your parents will disown you. The church will shame you. No one will ever look at you the same way again. I shook my head rapidly. No. I can't. Why not? His voice rose. Why should you have to suffer for what he did? By telling me to kill my baby. My voice cracked. He flinched. I can't, Frank. I can't, I sobbed. Then what are you going to do? He pleaded. Raise it. Hide it. Let everyone turn their backs on you. I didn't have an answer. I pressed my hands to my face, my entire body trembling. Judith, he said. I lowered my hands. He was looking at me, his expression unreadable. If you keep it, he wins. He gets away with everything. He'll still be a priest, still be respected, still be loved. And you'll be the girl who ruined her life. The girl no one believes. Frank, please stop, I begged. I'm just telling you the truth, he said, his voice heavy. I don't want to see you suffer, Judith. Then don't make me do this. My voice was raw. He sighed, rubbing his face. Then, in a quiet voice, he said, just think about it. I looked away, my heart pounding. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't even want to breathe. But deep down, I knew this nightmare was far from over. Now, I can't sleep. I can't eat. And no matter how much I pretend, the truth won't go away because 2 pink lines just confirmed my worst fear. I'm pregnant. And no one will believe me. The morning light seeped through the curtains, casting a golden hue across the small room I shared with my younger sister, who was still fast asleep. Today was the day. I couldn't keep this secret any longer. Sliding out of bed, I wrapped my arms around myself as if that could shield me from the storm I was about to walk into. I could already hear my mother in the sitting room, whispering prayers, her voice steady and strong. She always woke up before sunrise, kneeling before her wooden rosary stand, beads slipping between her fingers as she called upon the Virgin Mary. I hesitated at the doorway, watching her. She looked so at peace, so certain in her faith. How would she react when she learned her daughter had been tainted? When she found out the man she revered, the one she called a man of God, was not what he seemed? I swallowed the lump in my throat and stepped forward. Mom. My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. She didn't stop praying. I cleared my throat, forcing more strength into my words. Mom, I need to talk to you. She finally lifted her head, pressing the last bead between her fingers before making the sign of the cross. What is it, Judith? My knees felt weak, and for a second, I considered dropping down beside her, pretending I had come to pray instead. Maybe that would buy me more time. Maybe I could convince myself to just stay silent. But my hands found my stomach, and the slight curve there, though barely noticeable, was enough to remind me that time had already run out. I exhaled shakily. Mom, I'm pregnant. The room felt impossibly small, the air thick with something heavy and suffocating. My mother's face was unreadable at first, her dark eyes locked onto mine as if she hadn't quite heard me right. Then, a flicker of shock. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She blinked once, twice, as if waiting for me to say something else, to take it back. I didn't. Her hands clenched around the rosary. You're what? My legs trembled, but I forced myself to stay standing. I'm pregnant. Silence. A silence so loud it roared in my ears, drowning out even the sound of my own breathing. Then, in a voice so sharp it cut straight through me, she asked, "Who is responsible for this?" I opened my mouth, but the words got caught in my throat. I had known this moment would come, but standing here now, with my mother's piercing gaze stripping me bare, I felt paralyzed. The name sat on my tongue, burning, waiting to be spoken. But how could I say it? How could I make her see the truth when I knew she wouldn't want to hear it? My mother's nostrils flared. I said, "Who is responsible?" Her voice rose, demanding, filled with anger and fear. I said the words out before I lost my nerve. Father Donald. The world stopped for a second. I saw something flicker across her face. Disbelief, confusion, then rage. The slap came so fast I barely saw her hand move. A sharp sting exploded across my cheek, and the force of it sent me stumbling back. My head snapped to the side, my vision blurred with sudden tears. I tasted blood. "Don't you ever say that again," she spat, her voice shaking. "Are you out of your mind? Do you even hear yourself?" I clutched my face, my skin burning where her palm had struck. "Mom, I'm telling you the truth." "The truth?" She cut me off, eyes blazing with fury. "You think I will stand here and listen to this nonsense? You think I will let you slander a man of God with your lies?" I shook my head desperately. I'm not lying. He always found ways to keep me behind after mass rehearsals. Stop it. Her voice rang through the house, loud enough to wake my sister. From the corner of my eye, I saw my little sister peeking from the hallway, her tiny face contorted with fear. My mother pointed a trembling finger at me. I don't know what evil spirit has possessed you, but I will not allow it to destroy this family. Do you hear me? Tears streamed down my face. Mom, please listen to me. Enough. She turned away as if the very sight of me disgusted her. Before I return from work today, you will sit here and think about the lies you are telling. And if you ever say this again, Judith, you will no longer have a place in this house. My chest tightened. Mom. She didn't look at me. She walked past me, entered the bathroom, and slammed the door. I stood there, trembling, tears pouring down my face, my cheeks still throbbing from her slap. I had always thought that if something bad ever happened to me, my mother would be the first person to protect me, that she would hold me, fight for me, defend me. But she wasn't my shield. She was the blade. I sat outside the parish office for what felt like an eternity, my hands clasped so tightly in my lap that my nails dug into my palms. My whole body was trembling, whether from fear or exhaustion, I didn't know. Maybe both. I had spent the entire walk here convincing myself that this was the right thing to do, that I had no choice but to seek help. But now, sitting on this cold wooden bench, I wasn't so sure anymore. Would he even believe me? The parish priest, Father Matthew, was known for his strictness. He was a man of deep faith, unwavering discipline, and absolute devotion to the church. People respected him, even feared him. But most importantly, he was a no-nonsense man. If anyone would get to the truth, it was him. And yet, what if he chose the wrong truth? What if he, like my mother, looked me in the eyes and saw only a liar? I exhaled shakily, my pulse pounding in my ears. I didn't have any more time to waste. I needed to do this. Summoning every last bit of courage I had left, I stood up and knocked on the heavy wooden door. Come in. His voice was deep, steady, commanding. I swallowed hard and pushed the door open. The room smelled of old books and burning incense. Sunlight filtered through the stained glass window behind him, casting colorful patterns on the wall. Father Matthew sat behind his desk, writing in a large, leather-bound journal. He didn't look up immediately. Yes, he asked, flipping a page. What brings you here, Judith? I opened my mouth, but my throat felt dry, the words stuck somewhere deep inside me. He finally glanced up, and his sharp, piercing gaze landed on my face. Well. My hands tightened into fists. Say it, Judith. Say it before you lose your nerve. Father. I need to talk to you. It's serious. His eyes narrowed slightly. Go on. I hesitated, my heart hammering. It's about Father Donald. His expression didn't change, but I noticed the subtle way he straightened in his chair, his grip on the pen tightening. What about him? I took a deep breath, efforting myself to meet his gaze. I'm pregnant. Silence. The word hung in the air, heavy, suffocating. He blinked once, and I swallowed hard. It's his. The pen slipped from his fingers, rolling across the desk. The shock on his face was immediate, but it lasted only a second before his expression hardened into something unreadable. What did you just say? His voice was low, controlled, but there was something dangerous beneath it. I forced myself to keep my voice steady. Father Donald is the father of my child. His jaw tightened. You do understand the weight of what you're saying, don't you? Yes, Father. He stood up slowly, rounding the desk until he was directly in front of me. He wasn't a particularly tall man, but at that moment, he felt like a giant, towering over me. If this is true, he said, his voice grave, then we must get to the root of it. Hope flickered in my chest. Finally, someone who would listen, someone who would fight for me. But then his next words crushed it. But if you are lying, he continued, his gaze cold and sharp. If this is some scheme to ruin him, you will destroy his ordination, his life, his calling. A lump rose in my throat. I'm not lying, Father. His eyes searched mine as if trying to pull the truth from the very depths of my soul. You must be absolutely certain. If I investigate this and it turns out to be false. Tears welled in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. He took my pride away, Father. I swear on my life, on my unborn child's life, I would never lie about this. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, slowly, he sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. Tell me everything. I told him. Every single detail. I told him about how Father Donald had always found ways to keep me behind after altar server rehearsals, how he'd sent the others away and asked me to clean his room, how he always found excuses to have me alone. I told him about the night he offered me and my friend Favor drinks, how we unknowingly switched them, how she had fallen unconscious while I had been sent on an errand, how when I returned, I found her completely passed out. I told him about the night he finally took what he had been waiting for, how he had forced himself on me, how I had tried to fight, to scream, but the walls of the parish house had swallowed my voice. By the time I finished, my whole body was shaking. I could barely breathe, barely move. Father Matthew sat back in his chair, rubbing his temples. His expression was troubled, but still, there was something in his eyes, doubt. You're saying all this happened and you told no one? Father Matthew's pen had fallen to the floor, but he didn't pick it up. His eyes burned into mine, sharp and unyielding. I had just spoken the truth, the kind of truth that could shatter the church, my family, my entire world. For a moment, silence swallowed the room, broken only by the faint creak of the old wooden fan above us. Then he leaned forward, his voice low and heavy with something I couldn't read. Judith, if what you're saying is true, then this changes everything. But if it is a lie... He stopped, his eyes narrowing, his words cutting through me like a blade. Then you have just declared war against the church. My heart thudded so hard it felt like it would burst. I didn't know if he was about to protect me or bury me. And that was when I realized I might not survive what came next. If you want to know how this story unfolds, what Father Matthew does with my secret, and whether Father Donald ever faces justice, make sure you hit that like button. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Because trust me, this is only the beginning.